There's a sun in the sky, there's a cloud drifting by. All kinds of birds make you wish you could fly.
And this slide gives us a reminder that, of course, that our theme for this year has been soaring higher. And we have certainly had a lot of examples of that this year through our speakers, and probably no one has given an example of that greater than our speaker is going to be today. Next slide, please. There we are. Okay, I knew it was coming. So I want to tell you a little bit about C. She's just okay. Okay, she, first of all, as you know, she is our spiritual leader, but in spite of all that, I don't know how this woman does everything that she does. I really honestly don't know. She is also, of course, a student at a ministerial candidate at the Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute in Kansas at Unity Village. She continues to work privately. In spite of all of this other stuff that's going on, she continues to work privately with students in purposeful growth studies, okay, which is a course on the awareness of our greater consciousness and how to open one's heart with the heart of oneness. And something else that she's mentioned in her little bio that she's given me is things that I didn't know, but I find very interesting. Her daily passions and lifetime hobbies are, number one, to build things out of wood. That's very interesting. I'd like to see some of those sometime. Play drums, guitar, and piano, so very musical. Care for animals, and she has lots of animals in her backyard, believe me. And to write, and she's actually, her fifth book is now going to be available online, or she'll also have it available, of course. And it's going to be called The Living Way of Oneness. And it's a series of stories of reflection and spiritual awakening. So I don't know how you do it, lady, but I am really, really glad you're here doing it with us. And so I welcome Cheryl Driskell, our speaker for today.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today. So are you aware that beneath every uncomfortable feeling is an unexpressed need? If you take that in deeply, you'll realize that every time you feel something emotional or if you have a pain in the body, there's something underneath that. And if you look, you're going to find that there's a need that needs to be met. So if we explore and express, we'll learn to live our best life. So I'm going to take you on a journey with me now. I invite you to join me on a trip to England, to Lincolnshire area, in a small community called Epworth. So we're looking at Central East England. You can imagine it in your mind. And we'll take you back to the 1730s. 1730s, that's a long time ago. You can imagine what people were wearing. You can imagine the liveliness of the marketplace. And there was a man who came out of Epworth, and he studied at Oxford. He studied the Anglican ministry. He was a priest. He wasn't very thrilled, though, with what he had taken in. He had a different view of the world. He had this inner need to explore it and unravel it. So he went off to Savannah, Georgia, over here, just below us here in the United States. He was there for 2 years, but for some reason that didn't quite work for him. So he went back, headed over to England again, and he started talking to the people outside. He started going around Ireland and Scotland and England, and he would have these mass gatherings of people and speak with them. But he realized that the way he was taught to speak to these people was to exclude them from the greatest gift that he thought he was providing, which was awareness of the oneness God. So this man John Wesley, a great leader in the Methodist Church community, which we now call the United Church of Canada here in Canada. He created the Wesleyan theology. And what he did was he said the people need to learn in their own voice, with their own words. Why would I bring them the high Oxford type of English to these everyday farmers and community members? So he started to listen to his inner calling, that deep need that had felt like a wound but needed to come forth. And he listened to the needs of the community, and he answered their call by starting to talk with them in the way they talked with each other. Forget the Latin, forget the other languages that they no longer adhered to. It didn't matter. What mattered was that their needs were met. It brought through for them greater love and joy of being together in community. And this is why noticing our needs is so important. Because if we don't answer the call of our needs, we can become depressed, like John Wesley did. We can become achy breaky, down, tired. We might even develop an illness. We have to go in and understand what are the needs that I can see, that I can express forward so that I can feel free again. Doing that work will improve our health. It will help us to achieve great things for us, for our families, and even, like John Wesley did, something very profound, like they're doing here in Canada through Cheryl Rogers and the spirit groups. There was a call, there was a need for small groups to get together to share something important to them. And the need for prayer that Debbie Leland is bringing forward on Fridays, that there's something so important that the call came through her for us to join together in prayer. And that's a very profound thing. So we need to explore and express to live our best. So I don't know about you, but my greatest need every day is going outside with one of these. It's either tea or it's coffee or hot chocolate, but I have to have something hot. And I take it out of my thermos and I go outside and I sit on my swing just outside the door here. I need to be in the woods. Well, we're surrounded in woods here, except in front of me, I can see across the road, I can see some water. I see a little lake, and that just lights me up every day. This is an imperative for me. I need time alone to begin my day. And when I don't get it, what do you think happens? Okay, yeah. Occasionally I'm grumpy. just a little grumpy, and can attest that I get grumpy and it disappears pretty fast. But ask yourself, what is your daily need, right? What is it that you need to have in your life every day that helps you feel in flow with life? Because that's really what we're looking for. We're looking to enter flow. But have you ever had a need so big that you say, I can't answer that need now? And you push it down and you just step all over it and you say, I'm not letting that out. I'm either going to ignore it or I'm just going to push it down. I'm going to move forward. I can't answer that need. It's so big that you would rather just not go there now. And sometimes we do that. Sometimes we have simple needs, though, that we don't even answer, like the need to take a little walk, the need to have a nice bath every day. Some people just go in and just mellow like Jello. And that is important to a lot of people. Answering that call inside is an imperative because this is what gives us our sense of self, our sense of inner peace. Just answer your needs. Because you know what happens when you push a need down. I love the saying of Oprah. I think I've said this before. Oprah says, sometimes you're being called to something and you get this little pebble at the side of the head and it hurts a little, ouch, but then it's so small you can ignore it. And then, you're really not listening, and then you get this little rock in the back. Okay, I'm listening now. I'm listening a little more, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm still not really getting it. So here comes the brick, and suddenly something big happens, and you're going to have to answer this time, because guess what comes after a brick? I don't want to go there. It's just too much, right? So it's important that we listen to our needs. So I want to share with you a little story that I just love. It's a very adorable story. So you know Linda Martello Whitsitt, right? She is a Unity writer. She's a teacher. She is a profound prayer teacher. And she wrote the book called Abundance, Divine Abundance. No, was it? Oh, Divine Audacity. Sorry. It came to me. I could hear Anne yelling it, it's divine audacity. Listen, listen. So what I love about this story is that Linda was referring to her daughter. I think her daughter's name was Alicia. And her and her husband took Alicia to see E.T., right? Remember E.T. in the early 80s there? So she took Alicia and she put her on her knee and she glared at the screen the whole movie, didn't move. She just had the need to be still with the movie. And at the end of the movie, this is the point where E.T. is saying goodbye to Elliot. And remember, he's reaching out to Elliot and he says goodbye. Well, there goes Alicia, right? She just lost it. Suddenly she's sobbing her guts out. And people are like, oh my gosh, like this kid has just lost it completely. And she did not stop screaming until everybody had left the theater. Thankfully, it was near the end of the movie, right? But that is a sad moment. I mean, a lot of us cried, right? When we saw that. Yeah, it's a good movie. So, Linda, she's thinking, Alicia, she probably wants to have more connection to ET. It looks like she just loves ET. So they go into the lobby and there's some posters. So they grab a poster of ET and they take it home and they put it on her wall and they tuck her into bed. She's much more at peace right now. But little did they know, in the weeks ahead, little Alicia started having nightmares. And she would run into Linda's bedroom every night and squeeze herself in between her parents. And she just didn't want to go back to her bedroom. Well, at the time, this whole thing is out of Linda and her husband's head, what had happened previously. And they're just thinking, oh no, our kid's having nightmares. What's going on? And night after night, Alicia's coming back and forth to their bedroom. And one night, Linda's husband is got her in his arms. She's asleep. And they're wandering back into her room. And suddenly she wakes up and she's staring right at the poster of E.T. And she's like looking terrified. Aha. Now they get it. Right there, puts her into bed, takes down the poster of E.T., and she has a good night's sleep. Now, what seemed like a precious treasure for Alicia turned out to be something that created immense fear in her. And nobody understood what was going on, right? She couldn't express her needs, so she became sick. A kid, right? But the observant parent said, okay, I get it. Now we see. Sorry, we brought the poster into your home, into your bedroom, but now we get it, and we're going to take that poster down. So being an observer for someone who can't express their needs is important. You know that. Those of you who are parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles, right? But at the same time, she had no voice. And sometimes we would get to the point where we allow that to happen to ourselves, where we will make ourselves sick because we, like Alicia, don't know what our need is or are not willing to explore it. So, you know, I love Martha Creek. A lot of us do. She's a Unity writer, for those of you who don't know. She's kind of like our great parent who watches over us and guides us. And she says, most of us choose comfort over truth, comfort over to me, that's just over seeking the need. But when you think about it, we don't grow and transform in our comfort zones. You may have heard life begins at the end of your comfort zone. We grow when we realize we're no longer able to control all the conditions and circumstances of life and are therefore challenged to change the way we relate to it. I love that quote. And it tells us that if you don't attend to the need, which is pushing forward, then you're not going to meet that challenge. It needs to come forth, and we need to address it. We've been made uncomfortable for a reason. Don't ignore those uncomfortable moments. They're invaluable. They're very important. You know, and it's not a selfish thing to have a need and express it. Needs are life affirming. They're good for us. When I explore needs, I remind myself of the power of powers, right? So the power of powers is not a power over anybody else. It's a power to master our beingness, to master ourself. So I take the time to develop self-mastery. Everybody around me knows I am a digger. I will go in, I will dig for whatever is wrong, and I will find it, and I will address it. And my self-mastery is one of the most important things that I do. And I'm encouraging others to look at the power of powers, to really dive in and have a good look at yourself. You know, you're pretty amazing in there. And sometimes those needs just need us to remind ourselves that we are and that we can address those. And so my self-mastery guides me a lot to the fourth principle of unity, which is using prayer and meditation to have a conversation with the oneness, to know what's going through me, to allow everything to process itself. So when I go in with prayer and meditation, and sometimes I'll use contemplation following my meditation, and I'll write out what I've gone through in meditation or feel. And one of the ministers that we've seen, Reverend Robin, she will go in and she uses visualization. So there are tools that we can use in our power of powers through the fourth principle to help us really connect to those needs so that we can explore and express them to live our best lives. So look at the way kids handle needs, and live the fullness of the moment. They are great self-masters. They know who they are and what to do. So many of you know I'm from Hamilton, Ontario, and I used to live downtown, and my grandmother lived on Charlton Avenue, and we lived on Melbourne, just 2 blocks away. We would run back and forth as kids. It was great. But I lived 7 blocks from Dundurn Castle. I mean, that's a kid's dream, right? I live near a castle. Woohoo! That was exciting. And one of the great things about Hamilton people don't realize are the trees downtown. They're huge. And the trees on Melbourne Street in Charlton were filled with chestnuts. So one of my greatest treasures was to get on my banana seat bike and pedal down from tree to tree, tip the bike, and I'd be carrying my apple basket, right? You know, all those apple baskets. You carry your apple basket, you jump on the ground, and there, Saturday morning, there would be like, in the fall, right? This is the fall, there would be like 20, 30 chestnuts. And I'm like, this is a cornucopia for a kid. This is amazing. So I grabbed the chestnut, and it's, you know, chestnuts are in green, thick shells. What you find inside the shell sometimes is so tiny you can barely believe it. You got to peel open that shell somehow. You got to crack it open, and inside you'd find your treasure. And it was such a delight to see that beautiful little brown chestnut. Sometimes you get big ones and you share them with your friends, and everybody's going, wow, I love that. That's awesome. And occasionally you get these twin, I call them the twin chestnuts, where there's two little chestnuts side by side, the little babies. And they were actually quite exciting. We all loved those. So I would grab all the chestnuts I could, and I'd fill my basket, and I rush home. And of course, you got to show them to your parents, right? And if your grandma's over, you're showing them to your grandmother. And then I would take a cloth and I would polish every chestnut. It was a treasure for me. It was one of the greatest things of being young. So what do you think my need was in all of that, in all of that amazing experience? What was this child trying to say? For me, it was joy. I wanted joy. I just wanted to enjoy something and feel that joy. The way kids do. Kids will run and play and feel joy. They are in the flow with life. There's nothing in their way. And that's most of the time the simplicity of the needs of a child here in Canada. What happens when you take away their joy? No, you can't go out this morning. We're going here. No, you can't play with your friends. We have this to do. Kids get upset, they cry, they yell, they have stomach aches, their allergies get worse, their asthma kicks in. They don't want to go to school. No, they're not going out again with you guys. You're boring. All the fun stuff kids go to when their joy is not allowed to be expressed. A simple need. An invaluable need that we as adults can learn a lot from. A couple of years back, I had my niece and her two little fellas here staying in our basement. And my niece came upstairs and she says, Aunt C, oh my goodness, please help me. You know, Dawson is out of control. He's freaking out. I don't know what to do. He's even started to hit me. He's doing this. And, you know, when someone gets to this, there's a real big need under there that has been unexpressed. See, but I know this. And my young, beautiful niece is still learning this. So she doesn't know what's going on. She's just like, my kid's freaking out. What do I do? So I go downstairs and he's sitting on his bed. He's sobbing. He's got the pillow. He's at his wit's end. And he sees me and he calms down a little bit because, you know, Aunt C's here and I'm not going to yell at him or anything. And he says, no, I said to him, what's going on, kid? You know? And he's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't take it anymore. Aunt C, I can't take it. And then he said, he keeps hitting me. And I can't watch my show. Can't watch my show. Oh, okay. So what I said to him was, so what I'm hearing, Dawson, is that you're trying to watch your cartoon and your brother keeps getting in the way. He's trying to get your attention and you can't enjoy your cartoon. And he's crying and he's saying, yes, that's it. Absolutely. So what do you need? That's what I said. What do you need? And this beautiful little boy, so profound, he said, I need time alone. Wow. Like he's heard that before, right? He's heard that before, but he is a very smart little boy and he had to have his need met. He was losing it. He couldn't have his need met. He just wanted to be heard. He wanted us to acknowledge that he needs time alone to watch his show. It's really simple to him. But when you've got a group of kids, how do you find time alone for one? It's hard. And those of you who are grandparents, you know that you are the joy givers for your kids, because there's a shift in responsibility when you're a grandparent. You are able more often to bring that joy to your kids, to your grandkids. They just love being with you. There's story time, and there's movie watching, and there's game playing, and that's their time for joy. And they'll tell you these things more easily. They'll tell you what they need. Sometimes you're able to take that back to your own kids. Here's what you were told today. And what I love about kids when they're all together is that 2 or 3, just like that Bible statement, when 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I'm there in the midst of them. They're in flow, right? So from Matthew chapter 18, verse 20, we hear that. When 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I'm here in the midst of them. Because when you're in that state of openness, you feel the flow of the universe. You feel love. You feel the spirit flowing through. And it feels joyful. And that is a wonderful treasure. So their greatest need is joy. Over and over, kids want to play. They want to scream. They want to yell. They want to run. They want to feel abundant. They want to feel free. And they easily explore and express. And they show us very quickly when they're not getting their needs met. And this is how they live their best. But adults, well, that's another story. We have lots of needs. We have a lot more needs than we can keep up with. We've adopted thousands of responsibilities, thousands of beliefs, thousands of personal ego identifications. So we've blocked that joy now. We've got wall after wall after wall in front of us. I mean, everybody has needs, and if we don't meet them, we're going to have to find a way to greet them, even if it's one wall at a time. Because as I've mentioned before, they will push us to greet them. Excuse me, my dog wants out. See, Mocha had a need. She told me her need, and I met it. Wasn't hard. Dogs are easier.
Yeah.
So during COVID, I had some pretty big needs, but I didn't know what was going on really, because I was just trying to do my best, protect my parents, protect our family. And I started feeling a lot of anger inside. Just this rage was coming through me. And that's not a Cheryl thing to do. I don't like anger. I don't like rage. I mean, if I live it at all, I live it a day and it's gone. But I couldn't get rid of it. And it kept coming and coming and coming, this anger and upset. And I'm looking in the mirror and I'm saying, what's going on with you? For goodness sake, get it together, girlfriend. I should have been nicer. So I did go into meditation, I did go into prayer, and I was doing my work. And then what came through in that was, maybe it's my friends. I lost 3 friends during COVID. And I think at that time I was thinking, all this anger is because I lost them and they lost their beautiful lives. So this spring, I was still feeling angry, and I went and I got myself a therapist. Excuse me, to focus on grief. And just, I think it was the second session, and she mentioned something that was really interesting, had nothing to do with the loss of my friends, but it had to do something around another experience I just had that week. And she said, it sounds neglectful. Excuse me. And I was like, neglectful? That's it. Neglect. That's the word. That's the word. Can you imagine a word, one word unraveled, 2 years of anger like that? It was amazing. I have not felt angry since, because I needed a word, because I am someone who needs understanding, right? The one word, neglect, unraveled 2 years of rage and anger, because that's what it was. That's what I was feeling the whole time. I was looking at a world that was neglecting people. I was looking at a world that was trying to support people, but around me, people would show up at my parents' house. My parents are seniors. They hadn't even had their first vaccine yet, and people were showing up without masks. To me, that's neglectful. I didn't have the word for it then. I was just like, what are you doing? You're going to kill my parents. I was livid. Then people started coming to visit us or even stay with us because they had nowhere to go. And they weren't wearing their mask when I'd asked for them to wear a mask, and they were hanging out with other families and other groups all the time. I became so sick. I became physically ill. I couldn't reflect to anybody why I felt so weak and tired. I knew I was upset with that, but I didn't think that that would actually be why I got physically weak and tired and then angry. Neglect is the key to unraveling my whole life of the times I'm angry, because I don't like to see people neglected. I don't like to see a kid hit or a dog pushed. I don't like to read that 80,000 children have gone missing again this year in India. Sheer neglect. I don't like that we have had the experience of Indigenous children taken from their homes in Canada. Horrifying neglect. That women have lost the right over their bodies in the United States, or that girls in Afghanistan are not allowed to go to school, and the women there are again losing their jobs. To me, that's neglect, and that's why I get angry, because I don't like neglect, and that's something I'll work with. But it unraveled something that was so stuck. That need to understand was so strong that I just felt sick, and I felt angry, and I really needed to let it go. And I look at the world and I say, can you not just love? Can you not just provide love wherever you are, wherever you go? In John 15, we read, my commandment is this: love each other as I have loved you. In Matthew, we hear, give to the one who asks you. Do not run away from the one who wants to borrow from you. But that's not just to borrow money. It could be borrow a candle, borrow a cup of sugar, borrow some time for understanding, borrow a shoulder to cry on. And my role as a minister in the future, and even now, is to ensure that people around me feel loved and feel heard. So it's amazing what you can do when you unravel and you discover something so profound. And I will never forget that that is my main issue. And so when I get overwhelmed, I'm pretty sure that's under there and I can address it and I won't have to feel sick again. My sense, and what I've read scientifically, is that what adults really need more than anything is safety and security. So a child will seek joy, but an adult will seek to know that they can live well, that they can live safe and secure. Joy is a spiritual fulfillment, and it's something profound within us. And safety and security is in a relationship to the needs of the body. So we need to be secure. So we build a house, or we drive a certain car, we eat certain food, we have a certain amount of water. And the Dalai Lama says in all of that, you also need medicine and meditation, but that's really all we need. And guess what? And this is really important. Everything else we add, we want to buy, we want to build, we want to create, is our effort to find joy. It comes out as gluttony or addiction or as just constant need, but we're seeking joy. We want to go back to that joyful feeling that we had as children. And you can find it at Unity. We teach how to find joy through the prayer and the meditation. it's so important to just allow ourselves the time to look that underneath, in my situation, it's the fear of neglect, but under that is the need for everybody to experience that joy that they can have in this lifetime, even to get to happiness first. That's my idea of true love. And remember that meeting our needs allows us to push away that which is stuck, to push away the neglect, to push away the fears. A flower will push away a rock or evolve around the rock so that we have a sense. So it expresses itself. It expresses its need, and it will fight to express its need. It will push a rock away even if it has to. Some of those flowers, they're pretty darn strong. So let's not become the rock in the way of our expression. Let's just get out of the way and let those needs come forward and answer them, because at the basis of every need is safety and security for adults, but underneath that is the need for joy. I literally moved my entire life several years ago, and 2 businesses and my dog, and bought an SUV to get to the country to live joy. The need was so strong in me. I was becoming overwhelmed. Even in a small town, I just needed still the country and to be near water. What is it you need to really live joy? So this week, I'm asking you to please consider one need that you can bring forth or unravel, unblock, that will support you in finding your joy in this life. So seek joy to explore and express your needs. And here you're going to find your greatest health, your greatest happiness, and your greatest spiritual treasures. Beneath everything is an unexpressed need. Find it. Live joy. Thank you. Have a great day.
This is a 2-minute restorative meditation. Thank you for taking care of yourself. Let's begin. Please sit down. Look at the waves coming toward you. Take in the sound. Take a big, deep belly breath in. Watch how your belly fills with air. Release it through your mouth with a big, long sigh. One more, and add a long pause in the middle before you let it out with a big sigh. One more. Good. Now allow your breathing to resume its normal pace. Relax your forehead. Relax your eyes and cheeks and ears. Lower your shoulders. Put your tongue on the roof of your mouth and let your jaw drop into relaxation. Just breathe and relax. Just breathe and relax. You have now completed your 2-minute restoration.